I'm Heather.
And I'm Marissa.
And we're from Indiana Wesleyan University. And this is 108!
Good morning, green beans and Ovaltines. Happy Monday, and happy day one of the Whole30. Today got off to a riveting but slightly sad start as I weighed myself.
Hey y'all, it is the morning of May 2nd, 2016, day one of the Whole30. I'm about to step on the scale. 217.7, if you can see it. Okay, that's about 17 pounds above where I like to live. Day one.
So we've officially started the Whole30. I promise that that's not the only thing I'll talk about on this vlog for the next 30 days. I'll update you, once every couple vlogs or something of how things are going. Or if we fall off the wagon, I'll let you know, I promise. Today's a big work day. I just got a lot of things I need to accomplish today. Right now, I am on my way to do a meeting for camp. And while I go do that, there's something that you all have been wanting and I've been wanting, but haven't really felt it was the right time, but you all have really been wanting and asking for me to talk about this thing for... Just roll the tape. Two things. One, I've been getting requests for years to share my testimony on this channel. Two, we've reached May, which means the summer is fast approaching, which means there's gonna be more and more talk about camp on this vlog. If you don't know what camp is, you need to go back to a previous vlog where I talk about camp. I'll link it up below. And since camp is very heavily tied to my testimony, and since I want you all, if you're of proper age, to come to camp, I thought that right now, today, might be a good day to share part of my testimony with you all. So when I was 13 years old, the summer before I went to high school, my mom signed me up for this Christian Youth Theater summer camp. It was a summer camp with all of the crazy and somewhat dangerous games. It was a theater camp with all of the music and the dancing and the acting, and then it was also a Christian camp with the worship and the devotions. And just like any Christian camp, on the final night of camp, the gospel was presented, and there was a bit of an altar call, if you will. And up until this point in my life, 13 years old, the whole idea of God and church and religion had really been more of a tradition that my family did, rather than a personal relationship. But I remember on that night, after I heard the gospel message, it made sense to me on a personal level for the first time. And I remember coming to a realization after I heard that talk. I went outside of the chapel onto this bench that was under this big tree, and I laid down on the bench, and I was looking up into the branches, and I remember thinking, I've always wanted God in my life. I just never realized that He wanted me too. And in that moment, I made a personal decision to give my life to Jesus, to make Him my personal Lord and Savior. So 13 years old, at this summer camp that I am now working at, my life was changed. Then I went to high school. And for all of my years of high school, I struggled with pretty much everything you can imagine a teenage boy would struggle with. Girls and lust and bullying and partying and you name it. I struggled with it. But the thing was, all throughout my high school years, I didn't really let anyone know I was struggling. I kept it very hidden because I was so ashamed of it. On the outside, I was still this really nice, good Christian guy. But on the inside, like I said, I was so full of shame. So the next summer, I went back to camp and I rededicated my life. And I said, I'm not gonna do those things anymore. I'm not gonna do those things. I rededicated my life. My life was changed again. And then I went back to high school and I struggled. And the next summer I would go back to camp, and then I would go back to high school, and I'd go back to camp, and I would fall again, and I would rededicate, and I would fall again. And I was just in this vicious cycle all 4 years of high school. During the school year, I would drift so far from God, and camp always stood as this thing that just kept tugging me back. It just kept tugging me back. God kept reminding me, I'm still here. I still love you. And so after my senior year, after I graduated high school and I was done with camp, one of my counselors asked me to come back to camp and give my testimony, to share how God had used camp to change my life. But the reality is that God really hadn't changed my life. He had changed 1 week of my life every year. I hadn't really allowed Him to change the rest of it. I had been living as this big hypocrite. But for some reason, I agreed to go and give my testimony. And I remember so vividly the night before I was supposed to go back to camp and give that talk, I was in my room and I had the closest thing I've ever had to a panic attack. I I couldn't breathe, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything. So I got out of my bed and I laid face down on the floor of my room because it was the most solid thing I could find. And I was freaking out because in that moment I realized that God was giving me a choice. He was saying, John, you can either lie to these people tomorrow and keep up this hypocritical facade you've been living with for the last 3 or 4 years, or you can tell the truth. And so the very next night, that's exactly what I decided to do. I went up in front of over 100 high school students, many of whom had been sort of little brothers and sisters and had looked up to me as a leader, as a good example of what a Christian teenager looked like. And I was honest with them. I opened up to them about my struggles, about my brokenness, about my weakness, about my sinful patterns. And what happened after I stopped talking just absolutely floored me and changed me in such a profound way. As soon as I was done talking, students didn't throw fruit at me, they didn't excommunicate me, they didn't judge me. They started coming up to me and opening up to me about their struggles and started turning their struggles over to God. And it was in that moment that I had the second huge realization of my life. And that is that when we find the courage to share our story with others, no matter how ugly it may be, when we find the courage to share our story, that gives others permission to do the same. And in that moment, God called me. He called me and he said, John, this is what you should be doing for the rest of your life. And this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. No matter what the arena is, no matter where I am, I want to be the first one to open up and share, to give others the courage to do the same. Because it is when we bring our struggles, it is when we bring our darkness out into the light, that's when God begins to work. That's when God begins to do amazing things in people's lives. But someone has to be the first person to talk. And I'm not saying that from that night on I lived as a perfect Christian. I certainly did not. I still struggled, absolutely, and my testimony continues today. If it was not for camp, I don't know when I would have been truly introduced to Jesus for the first time as a personal Lord and Savior. I don't know if I ever would have entered into a true relationship with God. And it was also through camp that I discovered this calling to be a speaker, to be an artist for God's glory. And above all of that, if it was not for camp, there would be no this. There would be no YouTube channel. The only reason I created my first video ever, Who You Are, A Message to All Women, that was a speech and a poem that I had done for those campers at camp year after year after year. And a couple years ago, I was moving to New York City, so I thought this might be my last summer as a camp counselor. So what I decided to do, I decided to film that poem and put it on YouTube just for them. And so you can see this camp, it's not just like a summer camp you go to. This camp changed my life and continues to change my life each and every day. And so if you're out there and you are a Spotlight student, because I've found out recently that a lot of Spotlight students watch this vlog, that's awesome. If you're out there and you have not signed up for camp yet, please don't let anything stop you from coming to this camp. I'm not promising that it'll change your life, but I do promise it will be the best week of your year. And if you're not a Spotlight student and you're between the grades of 7th and just graduated high school, I implore you, just go to the link below and check out camp. It has changed me, and I think it will change you as well in some way. It is amazing. You should come. That's my plug. And that's part of my testimony. That's not my entire testimony because like Sweet Bear and I talked about it, a couple weeks ago, I'm still living that testimony today. God's still working. God's not done with me yet. But I wanted to share that with you all today. You all have been asking. That's a big part of it. I hope it blessed somebody. I really do. Back to the vlog. Welcome back to the vlog. Done with my meeting, now it's time to go home, get Sweet Bear and the pup and DJ, and we're headed back to the city. There's a lot of buildings, if you didn't know. Let's go! We've made it back to the loft. We missed you, Lofty. Sweet Bear's sad because she hasn't been in today's vlog at all.
Hey guys. Know you miss me. Know it's hard when I'm not in vlogs because you miss my charm. But, sometimes we live separate days.
Hey, I have a question. Do you ever think we'll go back to the suburbs without bringing this much stuff?
Yeah, one day. One can only hope. I'm gonna put this food away.
How'd day one of Whole30 go?
Good. I'm feeling a little nauseous, but I think that might be because of all the junk I ate yesterday.
Probably.
But it went good.
I'm feeling strong. I think I've lost about 17 pounds.
Come on, anybody? Yeah, I went grocery shopping today, so I stocked up on all, look how colorful this all is. Guacamole.
Guacamole. Guacamole.
Peel the banana. Peel. Is that what this says?
I don't know. I think it's just guacamole.
Guacamole. Guacamole.
You know what that makes me want to sing? Keep being awesome.
Keep being awesome. Keep being awesome. Keep being awesome.
Wow, very mysterious.